Good morning of the National Center for Research and Development. We're here to have the final conference of what has been happening in the last years, which is the Polish-Norwegian research program. And we're here to tell you that we're happy that it's been going on so well and that so many of the projects that we have funded, and that is of course thanks to the Norway grants, have been successful. And we're here to meet with them. So this is really a great moment. And I'm happy that you are all in here. Hello and welcome. Good morning. Thank you very much. I would like to let you know that the National Center for Research and Development is the implementing agency of the Ministry of Science and Higher Education here in Poland. But we're also pleased to welcome you on behalf of the Research Council of Norway. So this will be a big round of applause to everybody representing the Norwegian side. Thank you very much. This is the moment to be proud of, and this is the moment to tell you about the projects that have been developed in the last months or even years. And to tell you about the Polish-Norwegian cooperation, the relationships between our countries, and the history is rather successful. So even though you might be able to tell that the times here in Europe, at the old continent, might have been turbulent sometimes for many countries, but it's never been the case for Poland and Norway. So even though we've had relations for more than 10 centuries, we've never had any conflict, no single war. We've always been friends. So this is also a great place to say that. And another thing to really admit is that there is a lot of cooperation going on, which this, again, is a good example of. One example of the cooperation would be art. For example, I can mention Mr. Arne Nordheim. He would come quite often to Poland to search for inspiration and really meet his music friends here in this country. When it comes to education, we have two institutes of Scandinavian studies, and these are in Poznań, so Western Poland, and in Gdańsk, in Northern Poland. Both of these cities will be represented here today. And once, or last but not least, we could also mention sports. So Norwegians are very famous for their winter sports. And if I mention ski jumping, then I would say that both of our nations are just fans of this discipline. But even if Poles are very successful in this discipline, we will never forget. This is a beautiful moment that we're all happy. And I've looked at his face a few seconds ago, and I see that he is particularly happy, and he's got very good reasons to do so. And the name of the gentleman is Professor Maciej Chorowski, the director of the National Center for Research and Development. So please welcome him cordially. Mr. Director, the stage is yours. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, esteemed guests, thank you very much for this warm welcome, and in spite of relatively cold weather in Warsaw, I hope that both yesterday evening and today conference is something that we'll remember as really warm atmosphere. Let me welcome all of you for this final, but maybe not final, conference of the Polish-Norwegian Research Program. Thank you for accepting the invitation and for being with us on this special day. I would like to extend my special welcome to our distinguished guests. State Secretary Dr. Bjørn Haugstad, Ministry of Education and Research from Norway. His Excellency Karsten Klepsvik, Ambassador of the Kingdom of Norway to the Republic of Poland. And friend of Poland. And Committee Chair of the Polish-Norwegian Research Program, Professor Małgorzata Lewandowska-Szumiel, and all other committee members. Let me also welcome the remaining speakers and guests from Norway and Poland, representing the research community, public administration, as well as other organizations who honored us with their presence today and agreed to take part in the discussion, present projects and corresponding initiatives. Let me also extend my special welcome to the beneficiaries of the Polish-Norwegian Research Program, Polish and Norwegian researchers, whose projects had been selected for funding in tough competition and real competition. Some of these projects will be presented at this conference, so we will have the opportunity to learn more about their outcomes and results. I would like to extend my words of appreciation to the Norwegian side for this substantial financial assistance to the Polish research community. I would also like to thank the Research Council of Norway, our program partner, for having been a committed and knowledge-sharing partner throughout these recent years. My personal feeling is that in spite of being able to keep high standards in competition and very transparent procedures, we managed to avoid some bureaucratical approach. So this program was really user-friendly or beneficiary-friendly. And it was very much thanks to our Norwegian partners. We would also like to extend our words of appreciation to the Ministry of Regional Development, the Financial Mechanism Office in Brussels, and the Norwegian Embassy in Warsaw for their support in the program implementation. And now some details. The National Center for Research and Development in this program, with a budget of more than 74 million euro, has awarded grants to as many as 75 Polish-Norwegian projects implemented in areas such as environment, polar research, climate change, health, carbon capture and storage, social sciences, and bilateral relations, and work-life balance. On top of this, we have founded 34 small grant scheme projects implemented by female researchers in technical sciences. We have also awarded funding to as many of 88 bilateral actions for building Polish-Norwegian partnership aimed at preparation of new project proposals. The Polish-Norwegian Research Program is probably the biggest bilateral program of this kind in Europe. I think it is biggest, but it's better to write probably. I must admit that the results of the program are quite impressive. 232 Polish and Norwegian research teams, almost 600 international peer-reviewed publications, out of which 112 co-authored by both Polish and Norwegian researchers, and almost 200 still under preparation, 250 postdocs trained, and 34 patent applications submitted. We really hope that research collaborations established under this program will be long-lasting and with further successful projects implemented under Horizon 2020 or other international funding mechanisms. I believe we can now say that Poland and Norway share a well-grounded history of cooperation in research. There have already been 2 rounds of Norway grants with substantial funding targeted to research community. As I must say that we have done our best to make the current program a success story. We already know that for the next round of EEA and Norway grants, the National Center for Research and Development will be given the opportunity to build and capitalize on what has been done so far for Polish-Norwegian research collaboration. We will be implementing a part of the new program devoted to funding of applied research projects along with National Science Center, which will be the program operator responsible for funding basic research. National Science Center is located in Kraków, so I think Warsaw and Kraków, it is a very good combination if you want to have some historic approach and modern approach. In this part of program will be managed by the NCBR. We would like to focus on applied research projects with strong innovative potential, implemented by consortia consisting of research institutions and small companies. We believe that providing continuous support for technological advancement is crucial for the development of economy and building the prosperity of our 2 countries. As it was mentioned before, the Polish-Norwegian research program has had the program committee consisting of Polish and Norwegian researchers whose role was to support the program operator, monitor the program implementation, and recommend projects for funding based on external peer reviews. We would like to extend our words of appreciation and gratitude to the following members of the committee for their input, expertise, hard work, and continuous support offered to the NCBR throughout the program implementations. I would like to name Chair of the Committee, Professor Małgorzata Lewandowska-Szumiel, Professor Małgorzata Fuszara, Professor Eivind Hies-Haug, Professor Nalan Koch, Professor Andrzej Witkowski. Now I would like to award the committee members with a symbolic statuettes as a token for our acknowledgement and gratitude of the work. I would like to ask the committee members who are present to this conference to come to the stage.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again, the awards have been given to Professor Małgorzata Lewandowska-Szumiel, Professor Małgorzata Fuszara, Professor Eivind Hies-Haug. Congratulations. Thank you very, very much.
So wishing all of you a fruitful conference and a good stay in Warsaw. I hope it is not a final conference, but we'll meet again.
Thank you very much. Professor Maciej Chorowski. Thank you very much, Professor Chorowski. We really hope that the final conference is not the final when we look at the whole picture. And fingers crossed for that. I would like us to hear from some crucial people when it comes to the development of this program, and some people who would work on both sides of both sides of where we are and where the territories are. So I mean of Poland and of Norway. And there is, of course, the Norwegian side, which needs to be represented, and there's the State Secretary, Ministry of Education and Research, and his name is Mr. Dr. Björn Haugstad. So great to have you. I should say good morgen, and I should say tak. So these are the two nice things to say to a Norwegian person.
Dzień dobry, and dziękuję. Dear Excellencies and friends, I'm honored to be here at the final conference of the Polish-Norwegian Research Program. Today we celebrate the many years of close collaboration between Polish and Norwegian stakeholders within the EEA and Norway Grants Research Program. And I would like to first take this opportunity to congratulate everyone involved with the program with the great efforts you have made. Congratulations to the National Center for Research and Development, who have steered the program safely, together with the Research Council of Norway as advisor. And above all, congratulations to everyone involved in the projects. I'm looking forward to hearing more about the projects today, and I think you can all be quite proud of the final results. The feedback we have received from the Norwegian research communities is that project collaboration within the EEA and Norway Grants supports the establishment of solid international networks and promote capacity building. The grants are also a starting point that helps stakeholders gain international experience and to prepare them for further international collaboration. I find deep satisfaction in being able to say that research cooperation between Poland and Norway is now well established. Over the last decade, the volume of collaboration has increased significantly, with good impact on quality and relevance for both countries. I also see this collaboration as a tool to succeed in Horizon 2020 and ERA together. There are still grand societal challenges that we must cope with through increased research, and which only can be handled if we work together, such as migration, climate and environment, including carbon capture and storage, health, and gender equity, to name but a few. Through these 10 years of increased collaboration, I see the seeds of an alliance. We know each other better, both politicians and officials, but even more important, our researchers know each other better. We recognize each other's strengths, potentials, and challenges. And I think this is a good foundation for increased collaboration and even stronger success in EU programs and ERA. In ministerial conferences on EU level, I have repeatedly claimed that the EEA Norway grants are more flexible than the structural funds and should be exploited in the widening process. I think the Polish-Norwegian collaboration provides some convincing evidence to that effect, and that includes positive effects on Norwegian participation in Horizon 2020. In a time where the building blocks of Europe are shifting and new challenges create new uncertainties, the EEA and Norway grants provide an opportunity to build stronger national research systems and trust between European colleagues. This focus on common capacity building is, in my view, a central part of what makes the EEA and Norway grants unique. The Polish-Norwegian research program is one example that shows how the grants contribute to widening research participation and help support the goals of creating equal opportunities for researchers across Europe. A quick look at the agenda of the conference today underscores these points. The projects we will hear about today are all good examples of how the EEA grants program allow researchers and innovators to develop their ideas according to their own strength and build capacity from the ground up. The projects are also selected based on national priorities and interact closely with national research systems. And the grants give life to great ideas and access to international cooperation. In a future Europe, where nothing is business as usual, we need stronger, not weaker, collaboration on every level. We need to promote European collaboration and capacity building in every way we can. I'm therefore very happy that there will be a new and even bigger Polish-Norwegian grants program in the coming funding period. The conference today is therefore about two things. First, it is about celebrating the excellent results of the research program behind us, but it's also about looking to the bright possibilities of Polish-Norwegian cooperation that still lie ahead. So thank you for your cooperation, your attention and cooperation, and good luck with the next program.
Thank you very much, Mr. Secretary. I'm sorry, excuse me. Can I have a question? Can I have just one question, and I'll then bring the microphone to you, Mr. Secretary. Can I just ask you, what would it sound like to say, I love Norway in Norwegian?
That would be Jeg elsker Norge.
Ja hyggelske Norwegian. Is it acceptable?
I think that would be acceptable. Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much. I hyggelige Norwegian. This is something that I would be able and happy to say again and again. But in case there's some Norwegians in the audience who would actually like to learn some Polish, then God morgen is dzień dobry and tak is dziękuję. It is actually tricky to use tak because tak means yes. So whenever you say thank you for something, you're also agreeing for something in Poland. So be careful about that. It also makes sense to tell you about the Polish names. So quite like anywhere else in the world, Anna is, or N is the most popular female name. But this is the international name, and we all know it. If you're curious about the popular local names in Poland, then I would say that the most popular is Małgorzata. And to prove this point, we actually already have had 2 Małgorzatas on this stage, and we will have 2 more Małgorzatas to come. The Małgorzata, one of the 2 that have already been here, will be here again. And there is a good reason for that. There's a valid reason, because she is the president of or the chair of the program committee, Professor Małgorzata Lewandowska-Szumieł. Welcome.
Well, thank you. Oh, this slide is awful. Yeah, may I have the next slide, please? Distinguished guests, dignified hosts of this event, ladies and gentlemen, it's my great pleasure to be here. We like this program, we like each other in the committee, and I took this occasion to share some remarks from the committee. The program committee, next please. I can do it myself, I think. Yeah, thank you. The program committee was set up in order to support the program operator and to monitor the implementation of the program. You can see all the tasks. Our job was concentrated on the tasks which are shown here. And our comments come from this experience, from this job. And here you have some numbers. Some numbers have been already given here. I'm not going to focus very much on details on these slides. This is just to illustrate the scale of the program. And I would like to pay your attention about the numerous, very numerous submitted applications, which reflects the big interest of the scientific society in the program. And pretty much nice number of funded projects in many areas, as you can see. And our main reflection, the program committee, was that the program was extremely successful. And I decided to underline 2 points. I may assure you that also other indicators were very successful, but I decided to choose only 2. Publications, number and quality of publications, and the perspectives for further collaboration, about which we have already some information. So publications, we are extremely satisfied to see that the indicator value, you have the final numbers to the left and the expected value to the right, and just compare it. The total number of peer-reviewed publications, both published and under preparation at different stages, submitted and under very first stage of preparation, there were reported more than 1,000, almost 4 times higher value than expected. You can also see the joint publications, which can be understood as the publications co-authored by researchers from Polish and Norwegian sides. Almost 600 publications already published. Just compare it to the expected value of 250. So we are very satisfied with this result. What if I would refer to something which eventually needs improvement in the future, I would refer to the number of joint publications, which you can see as well on the slide. Still, it is higher than expected, and if you look at the number of publications under preparation and the total value, it is higher than the total expected value of publications as a target indicated on the slide. But not only the numbers are impressive. While reading the final reports from the projects, we were impressed by the quality of the publications, which is extremely important. They were published in really good scientific journals of high impact factors. This in turn means that the scientific impact of the whole program is really significant, and this is really the field of huge satisfaction. Another point, perspectives for further collaboration. The idea was to organize scientific teams with the perspective of further collaboration, and the number which you can see to the left, 14, is the number of already funded further grants organized, proposed, and being performed right now by the teams which were organized in order to do their research within the Polish-Norwegian program. And not only this, if you look at the next numbers, we know about more than 40 already submitted for common funding and about more than 30 which are still under preparation. We are extremely satisfied with this number, with these numbers, but not only numbers, again, are so important. As a committee members, we had a very nice opportunity to visit some projects, both in Poland and in Norway. And in the huge majority of cases, we have the feeling that the real teams have been organized, that people who were describing the research, the manner in which they collaborate, they are real teams. They really collaborate with each other. And this is the perfect situation. We have the opportunity to see their enthusiasm. They were talking about each other like about friends. It's extremely important that they didn't decide to do just their small job in their separate labs, but they organized a real collaboration because this is the taste of science and this is the manner in which we are looking for new ideas. And it was extremely nice to listen to them, and that's why I wanted to share with you this information. And obviously our point of view, the point of view of the committee, is somehow from the backstage, but we were there in a very good company. You can see here institutions involved, to the best of my knowledge, and the program implementation. The Research Council of Norway, Alexandra Wiczak-Haugstad, invaluable commitment, invaluable help. The Ministry of Economic Development, the Financial Mechanism Office, the Embassy of the Kingdom of Norway in Poland. People representing this institution were always present on our meetings, during our meetings. They were very helpful, very open, very much involved in the program. And it was a very, very nice collaboration. And last but not least, underlined here as the program operator, the National Center for Research and Development. And absolutely wonderful team led by Agnieszka. Can I see you? Agnieszka, are you here? Yeah, she is a perfect leader of the team. They did a huge job. Everything was prepared on time, very, very high professionalism. And as far as I know, as far as I have information from beneficiaries, they were also very satisfied with the manner in which they received all information on time and very strict. All the team was very reasonable, very full of ideas how to resolve the problem, so very nice collaboration. And finally, I would like to make some remarks to the scientists, because you are the heroes. During this final conference, it's actually the floor for you to present the results which you have obtained, so satisfactory results. We are very curious to know what happened, what you have in hand right now. I our warmest congratulations, and we wish you all the best and wonderful collaboration for the future, wonderful scientific results in the future as well. Thank you.
Professor Małgorzata Lewandowska-Szumiel, thank you very, very much. We will hear more about the program, but also the scientists. Like Professor has just mentioned, you are the most important factor in this whole project, and we would like to talk about you and tell everybody about your projects and about your research work. So the movie that we're about to see will actually briefly tell you about the projects that have been up and running in the recent times. But also, if you find some extra time during the lunch break, for example, you may enjoy watching the whole area behind your backs, which is actually just a presentation of many or maybe even all of the projects that we've been doing, and there's some specific information that you may look for. So I highly recommend that, but first and foremost, I do recommend watching this clip.
The Polish-Norwegian research program has been an initiative implemented under Norway grants. Funds offered by the Kingdom of Norway were used to promote research and scientific development in collaboration between Norway and Poland. Between 2012 and 2017, 75 bilateral scientific projects received funding in areas of environment, climate change, social sciences, gender equality, health, and carbon capture and storage. Additionally, 34 Polish female researchers received funding for their projects in technical sciences in the framework of the small grant scheme mechanism. The total budget of the program was about 74 million euros. The National Centre for Research and Development has been responsible for implementation and running of the program in Poland. In this film, we present the results of selected projects. The storage of carbon dioxide under the seabed in the Baltic Sea is considered a reasonable mitigation option to reduce gas emission into the atmosphere. The CO2 Marine project was set up to assess the impact of CO2-induced seawater acidification on marine sediments and benthic animals.
The Polish-Norwegian team conducted a series of experiments based on materials which were collected in the Baltic. Geochemical and biological endpoints were then analyzed to provide early-stage indicators of CO2 leakage.
Here at NTNU and SINTEF in Trondheim, we have developed a very unique high-pressure system called the T-tank, in which animals and sediments from the Baltic Sea have been exposed to high acidic conditions, mimicking a CO2 leakage from the seafloor.
The injection of CO2 brought about mobilization from the sediments to seawater of trace elements, as well as morphological and behavioral responses of marine fauna. This way, the project provided important support for environmental risk assessments related to carbon dioxide storage in the Baltic Sea. Colorectal cancer is one of the leading causes of death in Europe. Colonoscopy has been proved to reduce its incidence and mortality. Unfortunately, it is perceived as a painful procedure, which is the main barrier to participation in screening.
Polish part of EQUALLY project allowed us to develop an innovative and effective method of obtaining digital patient feedback on pain experienced during and after colonoscopy. We showed that sedation, among other factors, prevents colonoscopy pain. We have also observed a significant variation among endoscopists, with best of them performing 95% of unsedated, painless colonoscopies, proving that a focused training is needed.
In a study of colonoscopy screening with mostly Polish and Norwegian participants, we have extended the observation period to show that high-quality screening is effective. We have also shown that using carbon dioxide for insufflation prevents pain after colonoscopy.
As a result of the cooperation, a set of performance measures to monitor colonoscopy has been released, providing new European guidelines on how to reach and maintain the high quality of screenings. Effective computing studies how to automatically recognize, interpret, and process human emotions, analyzing available sensory data. The main goal of the ERA AVG project, Emotion Recognition for Affect-Aware Video Games, was to use emotions to control and enrich one of their most natural applications, video games.
In the project, we have developed several prototypes of affect-aware video games. Our experiments with the target users, meaning real game players, revealed that their satisfaction increases while they are playing affective versions of the games with dynamic difficulty adjustment mechanism.
In our project, we focus mainly on recognizing emotions from facial expressions, some physiological signals, and player behavior during the gameplay. To achieve this, we defined the affective model of the player, created the dataset containing labeled recordings of selected emotions, and developed emotion recognition framework with several emotion recognition algorithms.
Project results can be useful in fields such as healthcare, education and e-learning, entertainment, software engineering, and many others. Electric and hybrid vehicles may dominate traffic in urban areas in a few decades. One of the biggest problems slowing their expansion is limited range. The main focus of the LEO project was the optimization of tires and also road surfaces in order to reduce rolling resistance.
It is a very difficult task to measure rolling resistance, and we can do it here in our lab. We have a rolling resistance trailer, which is unique in the world, I may say, and we have drum facility that can be used for such measurements as well. We have found out within the project that if we use best tires and best road surfaces, we can save up to 15% of fuel and energy.
In Trondheim, at SINTEF, the acoustics group, we have concentrated on the issue of car tires, especially low-noise tires for electric vehicles. And the conclusion is that we can reduce road traffic noise with 4 to 6 decibel by using the best combination of tires and road surfaces. And this has the same effect as reducing the traffic volume with 60 to 75%.
Together, the LEO project team have shown that proper combination of car tires and road surfaces can significantly increase the vehicle's range and improve the acoustic climate in urban areas. About 100,000 Poles live in Norway today. Through a transnational lens, the Transfam project has examined various aspects of the migration of Polish families to Norway. In terms of economic pull factors, the importance of good working conditions and better earnings have been confirmed as causes of migration.
More innovative findings stemming from qualitative research by Jagiellonian University team demonstrated everyday family practices that transnationally span the two countries. Transfam results underscored that Polish migrants maintain strong bonds with their relatives back home, yet also undergo certain changes with respect to negotiating new gender roles, especially for fathers.
At Agder Research, we studied the integration of Polish children into Norwegian schools, and we found that they are likely to experience some conflicting expectations from their parents and from their teachers due to the differences in the school system.
The Transfam project has helped us understand the socialization experiences of transnational children and how these can affect their adult life. The goal of the Dwarf project was to test whether climate warming can induce reductions in the size of Arctic animals. The project explored the variability in the size of animal genome, cell and body in response to changing temperatures.
The study focused on Northern European and Arctic invertebrates and fish dwelling in terrestrial freshwater and marine habitats. The Polish-Norwegian team conducted experiments and examined various collected organisms.
Here at the University of Oslo, we have been collecting samples both in the high Arctic and in the Norwegian fjord, and we have also been doing a number of lab experiments. All this has been done to compare genome size, body size, and cell size at different temperatures. And indeed, there is an effect of temperature on body size.
The warming can induce both shrinking in the body size of particular species and the replacement of larger Arctic species by smaller warm water forms. Such changes can largely alter the functioning of the Arctic system, especially in terms of carbon cycling. The Polish-Norwegian research program will come to an end in December 2017. It was a significant contribution to scientific collaboration between Poland and Norway. 150 partner institutions from both countries were involved and received funding. 232 research teams worked on the projects. Many researchers are now continuing their collaboration and developing new bilateral projects.
Dear distinguished guests, may I please ask for a big round of applause for all of the scientists. Wonderful work. Yes, we're really impressed. So this is just a part of the projects that they're doing. And please don't forget about the exhibition, which is there and waiting for you. But now I would like us to have an overview of the European Economic Area and Norway grants. So if you'd like to hear how this has been going, you should probably hear from another Małgorzata. This is the Deputy Director of the Department of Assistance Programs, Ministry of Economic Development, Ms. Małgorzata Zalewska. Great to have you.
Dear State Secretary, dear Ambassador, dear Director, dear members of the Program Committee, distinguished guests, and of course, dear hosts from the National Research and Development, National Center for Research and Development and Research Council of Norway. I'm a bit, firstly, impressed by the presentation and a bit stressed, but I was invited here to give you some information about the Norway grants and about the EEA financial mechanisms. So my role here would be rather to go back and give you a bit a wider context of the programs, or put the research program in a wider context and show you some comparisons that we tried to make sure that the presentation I will deliver would be of interest for you. So, the first slide might be known to some of you, or maybe the most of you. This is the information, the map of Europe, and this is the information, kind of a introductory information. The EEA and Norway grants provide funding of close to 1.8 billion euros for the period 2009-2014. So also for the research programs we are celebrating today. They cover different priority areas within 150 programs altogether in the 16 countries of Europe that benefit from that money. So 3 donor state countries, such as Norway, Iceland, and Liechtenstein, contribute to strengthening the social and economic cohesion in Europe and enhance the bilateral cooperation. We are, I mean Poland, the largest recipient of the funds, receiving nearly 1/3 of the allocations. That money in Poland was used efficiently in 17 programs that addressed very well our priorities and our needs. Altogether, more than 1,400 projects were realized. And on what did we spend that money? As you can see from that slide, the range of priority sectors is very wide and diversified. starting from environmental protection through support for civil society, protecting cultural heritage, research, green jobs, decent work, and finally, justice sectors and home affairs. In the center of the slide, you can observe the allocations to all 16 countries, which is split between priority areas. And right hand, the percentage that you can see reflects the division of that allocation in Poland. And you can easily notice from the slide that research is in a very high position when you compare to other allocations. And before I come directly to the research program, I would like to show you also the so-called #1 priority sectors in each country. In Poland, Bulgaria, Malta, and Spain, the majority of funds for this period of financing were addressed to tackle the environmental challenges. The Czech Republic, Estonia, Lithuania, Romania, Slovakia, and Slovenia invested most in the human and social development. And for Greece, Latvia, and Croatia, the home affairs and justice sector was very important. Civil society received most funding in Cyprus, while research was #1 in Hungary. This data comes from the database portal, which is run by the Financial Mechanisms Office. And we tried to get as much as we could from this portal to make this comparison interesting for you. So now I would like to concentrate more on the research priority. And on this slide, there are a couple of figures that I would like to highlight. The circle on the left gives you an overview of country allocations to research programs. So let's say the pink portion goes to Hungary with more than 26 million euro. Then there is the yellow part, which represents Estonia with 3.2 million euro. Then Latvia with close to 5 million euro. And the Czech Republic is 15.7 million euro. Here the situation of Poland looks particularly favorable. This big blue proportion represents Polish allocation to research projects. And it makes around 58% of the whole allocation in the period 2009-2014 to all countries. If we move to the right-hand circle, we can see the research projects. Also in this context, Poland stands out in a positive way, with 70% of all projects realized here. We have already heard a lot about the results, and we will hear much more during this conference. So only for the sake of the comparison, we took some of the data from the database portal to show you, I'm sorry, this will be the next slide, to show you the comparison. And it looks that around 80% of scientific publications have been done or have been made by the Polish and Norwegian teams of researchers. I realize that the data might not be up to date, but it's the comparison that is important and that I would like to highlight. And when it comes to the formal cooperation of research institutions, around 75% of such cooperation took place between Polish and Norwegian researchers. As I said, this data comes from the database portal, and it represents, the database portal gives us the information about the results in different countries. So it gives us the information about the results at which might not be the last and the most current information. It's more about the comparison at a specific time. Okay. Now I will go back to the slide which I missed. This is the information that has already been given before by my predecessors. We think this is the biggest bilateral research program that has been implemented so far with this allocation, and we hope that it will also be a very big program for the next period. I started to talk about the results. Before I finish my presentation, I would like to talk more about not only those results that can be measured, but also about those that are not that tangible. Because what's important, especially in that kind of cooperation, is very difficult to measure. Intensive cooperation strengthens bilateral relations, and obviously it contributes to continuous expansion of the scope of cooperation, of the status of knowledge and mutual understanding. And it's very important to emphasize the efficiency of that bilateral cooperation and its permanent nature. And on that slide, you can see the percentage of the partnership projects in the total country populations. You can observe that both Poland and the Czech Republic do very well with that objective. When it comes to Poland, we have the biggest number of bilateral projects. When it comes to Czech Republic, the percentage of the bilateral projects is the highest. It represents not only the research priority, of course, it represents the whole population of the projects and priority sectors in these 16 countries. And at the bottom of the slide, there are some numbers representing Poland. And what might be interesting for you is that out of 470 partnership projects, 75 are devoted to research cooperation. I would like to finish my presentation with the slide concerning the future. We have heard a lot of information about good practices, about what are the positive sides of the research cooperation so far, and what possibly could be changed. And we can build on that experience. For the period 2014-2021, and in practical terms, it means that the projects can be realized until 2024, a new contribution of 2.8 billion euro has been agreed. The priorities cover a number of issues, and research cooperation is, of course, one of them. On the slide, you can observe the split of the allocation between the beneficiary countries. And it gives us the great opportunity to substantially increase the results and extend the partnerships with the new allocation that Poland receives for the third round of the financial mechanism. And This is my last slide on the presentation that I prepared for you. And at this point, I would like to congratulate you and thank you for all that has been achieved in the research program. And I speak also on behalf of my colleagues from the focal point that are present here. We really enjoyed working with the National Center, with the Research Council of Norway, with the members of the program committee. And I wish all of us, firstly, the successful completion of the program and the continuation and expanding of what has already been achieved in the future. And of course, I wish you all an inspiring exchange of ideas during this conference. Thank you.
Ms. Deputy Director, thank you very much. You didn't need to stress about anything because it was a very great presentation and we would like to thank you for that. We are about to enter another speech part which has to do with our program, but now we are going to hear not from the Republic, I mean Republic of Poland side, but from the Kingdom of Norway side. And there is a council which will now represent us. There is the Research Council of Norway, I've already told you about, but I haven't really been able to mention Mr. Bjørn Tore Kjelmo, the Director of the Department for Cooperation and Development Research. God morgen. May I just have a warm-up question?
Yeah, sure.
Thank you. So, do you travel a lot to Poland?
Not enough. Not enough. I was here at the very start of the program with the first negotiations, and I think that was back in 2011.
Okay.
And I'm here for the finish. So I should have been here a few times more, I think. And always when I'm here, I stay not long enough to see something of Warsaw. So I will try to be better in the next period.
Yeah, so it was just business. You didn't have time for leisure.
I had time to stroll down the shopping area close to my hotel, which was very nice. But that was what I have time for.
That's what many tourists end up doing, to be honest. So is there good flight connections from Oslo?
It's very convenient. There's a direct flight from Oslo to Warsaw. So that's not an excuse for me.
Good. Mr. Bjørn Tore Kjelmo, a big round of applause again. Thank you.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, first of all, thank you for inviting me to be here with you at this conference to celebrate the results of the program and also to share some of the experiences and perspectives from the Research Council of Norway. For those of you who don't know the Research Council, I'm going to take 1 minute just to explain a little bit about the role of the Research Council in the Norwegian research and innovation landscape, and then I will go on and use the rest of my time to present some of the experiences and impressions that we have had of this program. The Research Council has three main roles. It is an advisor to the government on research and innovation policies and strategies. We're a funding agency which cover all discipline and cross-disciplinary research. And we also cover we fund research from basic research to applied research and innovation and commercialization of research. And what we try to do is, of course, to implement national thematic priorities. There's a government long-term plan for research and higher education, and we try through a number of different programs to implement those national priorities. And we channel around 30% of all public funding for research and innovation in Norway, and we also have incentives for private R&D. That means that we fund not only research in universities, but also in research institutions and in industry. And of course, international cooperation is also a central part of our activity. We implement and try to promote participation and support participation in Horizon 2020 for Norwegian researchers. We have global bilateral cooperation with a number of priority countries through bilateral schemes, etc., etc. And we are what we call a program partner for the EEA and Norway grants, and it's sort of the last role that is important in this context. Before I go on to the overall impressions, let me just share a little bit of a personal history. The summer of 2016, I was preparing for a field trip around the Spitsbergen Peninsula. And as part of the preparation, I, of course, looked into what are the activities of the Research Council in that area, what's of particular interest. And there's a lot, of course, the Arctic is very important for us. What I missed, and you may say, today I would, of course, have looked into it, but I didn't look at our joint EEA Polish-Norwegian program. For some reason, don't ask, I didn't do that. But the first place we came, we met a young researcher who was Polish, and the first thing she told me about the project was that, well, we have a joint project with the Norwegian Polar Institute funded by the Polish-Norwegian program. So that was, and then I knew that my preparations has not been good enough. And this young researcher is based at the Polish research base in Hornsund. So she's up there in Spitsbergen. As you can see, she's wearing a gun as well for the polar bears, just in case. But she's not studying polar bears, she's studying small birds and the impact of climate change and the change of the environment on the population in Svalbard. So it shows that it's everywhere. And just as an example, just to show you, these are the different partners and the geographical spread that has been through this program. And you will see that we are from the very northern part of Norway through to Svalbard and the Spitsbergen, Trondheim, which has the technical university, of course, a lot of projects, keeps jumping. It's sort of ahead of me. And to Oslo and Bergen. So you really have, through this program, cooperated with all the important research institutions in Norway. And here's a list of a few of them. There's many more as well. And my impression from the previous presentation was that also there's a very good geographical spread in Poland. So this has really connected Norwegian and Polish researchers from all over the two countries. And the results, we have had some examples of the results already from the chair of the program committee and from the Ministry of Economic Development. I think they're very impressive. Here's just to complete the picture is a chart which shows the development in joint international publications. And you would see the top of the chart, you would see the development in joint international publications between Polish and Norwegian researchers, which has, it's going steep upwards, and I think a lot of it can be contributed to this program. You see the other, and we just pick the countries where we have cooperation through the EEA agreements, also have a steady rise, but not as steep as the Polish-Norwegian bilateral program yet. So I think we can see absolute results already. Let's see. So some conclusions from the Norwegian perspective is that there has been a lot of, I think, benefits on both sides through the cooperation. I think that we have had networks between highly competent researchers in both countries. During dinner last night, one of the program committee members, Eivind Hishauge, told me he has been there from the start, and he told me, well, at the very start, we were a bit worried, will we get enough good applications? I don't think we have worried about enough good applications since that time. I think the last call showed that we have a lot of applications, a lot of high-quality applications that are reviewed by international reviewers and panels and get high scores. So if we get more money, we can fund even more great projects. So this is one of the important results, I think, and benefits. We have had access to new and updated labs and infrastructures, and I think we have complementary infrastructures that has enabled us together to do things that we might not do as easy on our own. We have matched interest and complementary capacities. I spoke to one of the Polish researchers from the Polish Academy of Sciences yesterday evening, and he told me that you're great on parts of the climate research, and we have some good capacities in others, and together we fill in very well. So it has been a very good match between the two. And I think also, it was mentioned earlier, I think that I hope and I think that the program administration has been smooth, flexible, and user-friendly, and I think we have developed a lot through the years in that respect. And also, I think that the bilateral cooperation will serve as a basis for future European initiatives. So, through our cooperation, through the networks that have been established, our ambition, of course, is also that these networks, these projects, these researchers can move on to join bigger European consortia, to have joint applications in Horizon 2020. I think we might see some results already, but I'm sure we're going to see very good results in the future. This is just to show you a little bit more statistics. These are the number of projects within Horizon 2020 that has both Polish and Norwegian participants or partners. And you would see that energy, environment, and health, as an example, which are areas which this program also have a lot of projects, are the areas where we do well in terms of joint participation in Horizon 2020. So I think there's, although we don't have the exact numbers, this is one of the things I think would be important to look into in the future, but I think we can see now that there are a lot of potential for these projects to move further into new international involvement in consortia and applications and successful applications in Horizon 2020. Another ambition for us has been to connect national and bilateral programs, and we have done that. Just as an example here, we have a big program, a national program within the field of carbon capture and storage, and it's called CLIMIT. So what we have done is try to link up the project that we have in our bilateral programs with the national initiatives, also to see how we can further strengthen collaboration and links between us. So this has been another of the ambitions that we have tried to fulfill during this period. And last but not least, we have had the great experience by working with the National Center for Research and Development, and we have learned by sharing. It has been a wonderful experience working together with Polish colleagues. We have had joint workshops. We have had, you would recognize maybe some of the faces down there. We have had study visits from Poland, and we have been here. So we have learned to know each other. We can compare systems and perspectives and how we do things. So there's a great learning also for the Research Council in this area. And we have also brought together not only research councils from Poland and Norway, but also from the Czech Republic and the other participants together in seminars, workshops, learning experience. So I think that has been very, very useful for us as well. So this has been, all in all, a great experience for the Research Council as well. So from all of us, congratulations to all project participants and the staff at National Center for Research and Development on completing a very successful program. And we look forward to continue and expand our cooperation in the future. Thank you.
The future looks bright.
I have just one.
Oh, sorry.
as a small token of our appreciation of the cooperation, we have a little gift to Agnieszka. So if you can come up. It looks like a compact disc. It's not, because they are totally out of fashion. It's a small book that maybe just to prepare yourself for a second phase of cooperation with Norwegians, we have this little book that might help you.
Ms. Agnieszka Ratajczak. Congratulations. Thank you very much. So I hope that you already booked your tickets to Poland today.
I will do it tomorrow, I promise.
You've heard it. Thank you very much. Congratulations. The main reason for us to meet here is to find out about the projects. And today we will have the scientists present them. But even before that, I would like us to hear from our partner, which is a very established consulting firm, which was started in 1990 here in Poland. And they will do an ex-post evaluation of the Polish-Norwegian research program, the idea of development foundation and policy and action group Uniconsult. This is the name of the company, so it will be great to hear from them. There will be Mr. Tomasz Gabski, Stanisław Bienias, or just one of them. Great to have you.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Stanisław Bienias. I represent a foundation IDEA, who was the leader of this evaluation together with the company PAC Uniconsult, and this is a great honor for me and a great privilege to be here and to be able to present our preliminary findings of our evaluation. However, I face right now two problems. No, problems are not good word in the public domain. It's challenges. I have two challenges. One is technical and one is a merit one. So technical one is that, in fact, I am the last presenter before the lunch. So in fact, I am the last barrier before all of you, and the delicious lunch which is being served in half an hour. And this is a lesson for me to try to be brief. And the second challenge is also for me, but also for you. I will present you the preliminary findings. We are in the middle of the research, so all the findings you will see on this screen are not the final one. These are the observations, not the final conclusions from our research, which will be finished at the end of this year. Okay, so at first I will tell you a few words about the methodology, then about the total intervention logic of the Polish-Norwegian research program, and then about our preliminary findings, preliminary results of our research, what we have already found out. Okay, as far as the methodology is concerned, we have already we're quite well advanced with desk research, and we have completed computer-assisted web interviews with 5 groups of our respondents. And in terms of this computer-assisted web interviews, in terms of project promoters, both in core grants as well as small grant schemes, we have received quite good response rate in terms of computer web interview. More than 50% of the response rate is very high, in fact. So here we had a quite good feedback. However, the populations are very small here, and as you know, you are scientists, so there will be not so many colorful graphs, but rather numbers which describe this research findings. We are in the middle of our qualitative research. My colleagues from the PAC Uniconsult are right now in Norway, talking with the beneficiaries and partners of this program. We will have 2 focus groups and 5 case studies, which we have already started, as well as expert panel. And we are in the middle of this process. So, as far as the intervention logic, within our research, we tried to implement so-called stereo-based impact evaluation. So the first issue is here to describe how this theory of change should work. In fact, what we want to do, what we want to achieve, what are the problems, and how we want to deal with those problems. So in Poland, generally, the Norwegian grants as well as Polish-Norwegian research programs should a little bit foster the reduction of social and economical disparities within our countries. And very important thing is to strengthen our bilateral cooperation. In order to do so, within this program, 3 types of supports were provided. First one was the financing of big researches within which should take part at least one group of Polish researchers and one group of Norwegian researchers. We had, and they were performed in the 5 main program domains. We had a so-called small grant scheme, which were the projects for women to finance these projects for women scientists in the least feminized areas of technical science in Poland. And third, these are small grants just to foster bilateral cooperation between Polish and Norwegian research teams. Thanks to this, we wanted to intensify the cooperation and increase the potential of the researchers. And in the longer term, we want those researchers, both from Poland and from Norway, to increase the efficiency of obtaining funds for research from international programs. This is a special challenge for the Polish research teams. And in terms of financing the small grants, the additional result is here to increase the share and the role of women in research and development in the least feminized areas of science. Okay. Now the preliminary results. First, the very general reflection. Within this program, we are financing things which are really in the area of so-called market failure. Okay, we are financing researches which are generally public goods and which are have a potential for big external effects. So in this area, we can say that there is a huge potential for positive assessment of such an intervention. Coming back to the results of our service, general assessment of scientific cooperation for both the project promoters as well as Norwegian partners was positive or very positive. No negative assessments from the group of people we managed to get the feedback within our service. And this is in the merit point of view, but very important here, and was quite surprise for us, was also very positive assessment of the administrative cooperation between the partners. And this was both for the Polish project promoters and Norwegian partners. In one of our previous research, we have evaluated the whole Polish, Norwegian, and EEA program, so 20 of different programs financed within these schemes. And generally, this area was there was a subject of small criticism here. And here, within this Polish-Norwegian research program, really the feedback is quite positive, and in comparison to other researches we conduct, it's really a good assessment. What is important, that there is a high potential for continuation of this cooperation. Many of most of the Polish project promoters, as well as most of the partners from Norway, either already implement other projects within this cooperation, or they at least plan to do so. So there's a high potential for also external and long-term effects. Also, positive thing was that this cooperation not only allowed for cooperation between the research teams which were within this project, but also gave a possibility to start additional cooperation with other entities, with business, with non-government organizations, and this was especially emphasized by Norwegian partners. These were the results from this large project grant schemes, and for the small grant schemes, so the project financed which were financing researches by women scientists. Also, the general evaluation and assessment was very positive, and project promoters emphasized that this was a very critical support they received, that they increased their competences, and really it allowed them to feel first time in their life as a project research leader, and a lot of positive feedback here also from the interviews we have already conducted. As far as the characteristic of bilateral projects is concerned, we asked those project promoters to tell us, okay, they start the cooperation with Norwegian partner, and in which area they want to finalize this cooperation, and let's say in the half of the answers were, yes, we want to prepare mostly for the Norwegian financial mechanism for the next perspective, but half of them said that they are also planning for other cooperation in joining projects for Horizon 2020, other programs financed from National Center for Research and Development, or other schemes. Usually within the evaluation, we try to find out whether these activities would be conducted anyway. Yes, even there was no program, and we asked this our project beneficiaries, and in most cases projects would not have been implemented because there is a lack of other funds for such a cooperation, especially cooperation between Polish and Norwegian research teams, and here this deadweight effect is really extremely small. As far as the bilateral cooperation, I think that without Norway funds, there would be no chance for such a cooperation. None of the Polish, or very small number of Polish universities or research teams would think about cooperation with Norwegian partners, and also for Norway, probably Poland wouldn't be the first choice for such a cooperation. We also see these positive effects not only within our quantitative researches, but also the examples of projects which were financed also showed us that the effects are positive. And this is one of the examples of the projects which was financed through this program. I wouldn't dare to pronounce this name of this project appropriately. But generally, this project was dedicated to analyze and verify about the disease, which is very, very rare, and it has to be analyzed during the time of pregnancy. And due to the fact that it's very rare, there was no chance to getting any financing for such activities in Poland. And in fact, not only very big researches have been conducted here, and the stock of knowledge which is gathered can be used further, but really the effects of these projects are already used within many hospitals and in other public domains. Some unexpected effects which we wouldn't presume before. A lot of this new cooperation, not only with the project partners, but other entities. This is the first one. The program was a good start for starting new projects, not only this financed by the Polish-Norway research program. Project promoters, women project promoters in this technical science areas pointed out the additional recognition as successful project promoters. For them it was very important, and possibility of getting projects leadership position wouldn't be otherwise possible. And I think this fourth one will be also relevant also for the core research program scheme. Some expected, the projects here already, we can see some broader effects. In case of 14 out of 35 core and carbon capture and storage projects, the research results have already been used within the economy, and for other 6 there are such plans, and in case of 20 out of 35 projects, the research results have already been used for shaping national or regional public policies. This is very important because a lot of these researches were mostly primary research, but there is a huge potential for using them in practice, and the case study of this previously pointed out project, the research results are already used in Poland in many hospitals, laboratories, and blood centers. A very important factor in terms of implementation of such a grant schemes which are fostered on innovation, on research, is the flexibility of the institutions which implement those programs. And here the general assessment both of the project promoters, partners of the project, about how the system, administration system, documents, communication within the National Center for Research and Development was assessed very positively. And in comparison to many other researchers, really this is a unique situation. Usually beneficiaries complain. Yes, really, they complain a lot, and here they complain very little. And even the unsuccessful beneficiaries were quite positive, and two graphs. Green one are positive responses, gray one is hard to say. Okay, so you can see that there's a green one for the project promoters is very, very positive, as well as the positive assessment of the projects which have been rejected. So these are the most important preliminary findings of our research. We will try to come back with full research at the end of this year, final conclusions, and also some recommendations to foster such these activities in future, in the next perspective. But very general assessment and very general conclusions. In the first half of this year, we have evaluated the EEA and Norway grant program as a whole. So this program, we are discussing this today, was one of the 20 of different programs we evaluated. And generally, for this whole initiative, our assessment was very positive, and we provided this as a good practice example for other policies, especially for European structural funds. And I can say that our preliminary findings point out that probably this program, Polish-Norwegian research program, is a good practice among about these 20 programs we have evaluated within the whole initiative. So you are a really very good practice example. Thank you very much.
Mr. Stanisław Bienias, Uniconsult, thank you so very much. And now there will be another presentation which will only take 3 hours, and after that we will have a lunch. Oh wait, I was kidding. Yeah, thank you for that, because we actually will take a break. I would just like to draw your attention to one really nice thing. On your left-hand side, as well as on your right-hand side, where the flags are of our countries, you can see some natural moss. And even though there's a lot of it in Poland, I mean this flowerless plant, we actually were not able to use the Polish moss. It actually is the moss that comes from Norway. So you can come to it, you can breathe it, you can touch it, because it's wonderful. The reason why we couldn't bring the Polish one is because it's under control, under protection, so it wouldn't really be able. But thank you, dear Norwegians, for lending us your beautiful moss. Congratulations to the Norwegians, and please enjoy your lunch break, and see you soon. Thank you very much.